Before we begin, I need you to do something. Close your eyes for just 3 seconds. Now picture a child you love. Maybe your daughter laughing as she runs to catch the school bus. Maybe your nephew with his oversized backpack waving from the front porch. Maybe a student you once taught, bright-eyed and full of dreams. Now imagine this: they walk into school and they never walk out. No call. No message. No body. Just silence. And 41 years later, someone finds a notebook buried beneath roots and concrete with a single sentence in a child's handwriting: "We're still here. Tell our parents we tried." This isn't fiction. This is what happened to the 24 children and 3 staff members of Maple Ridge Elementary School. On March 12, 1983, they walked into that building. They were never seen again. No ransom. No bodies. No signs of struggle. Desks were neatly arranged. Lunchboxes sat untouched in lockers. A math problem remained half-solved on the blackboard. By 9:07 a.m., the school was empty. Not evacuated. Not burned. Not destroyed. It was simply abandoned. For 41 years, the world moved on. The town of Hollow Creek was resettled. The forest swallowed the land. And Maple Ridge became a ghost story, whispered to kids who stayed out too late. But 3 months ago, everything changed. A drone operator named Marcus Reed was testing new thermal imaging equipment over the Adirondack foothills when he captured an image that shouldn't exist. Deep in the woods, beneath layers of moss and twisted roots, heat signatures pulsed from underground. Not animal. Not geothermal. Human-level thermal patterns. When investigators dug down, through 40 years of decay, roots, and collapsed soil, they found a sealed concrete chamber, 20 feet below the surface. And inside? 12 desks. 12 chairs. 12 notebooks, each labeled with a child's name. And on every page, the same message, written in frantic handwriting: "We're still here. Tell our parents we tried." This isn't a ghost story. This is a warning. What was found in that basement doesn't just solve the mystery of 27 missing people. It reveals a secret government program that may still be active today, one that used schools as fronts, children as subjects, and silence as its greatest weapon. Before we begin, hit subscribe and turn on notifications, because this isn't just another cold case. This is evidence of something far darker than anyone imagined. And if you've ever attended a school that closed suddenly, or had a teacher who asked too many questions about your family, you need to hear this. Let's go back to 1983. Ronald Reagan was president. Walkmans were the hottest tech. MTV had just launched. And parents trusted schools more than ever. Maple Ridge Elementary wasn't special, at least not on the surface. Located in the remote town of Hollow Creek, New York, it served just 24 students across grades 4 to 6. Small class sizes. Dedicated teachers. A tight-knit community. But behind the scenes, things were different. The school had been privately funded since 1978, not by taxes, but by a series of untraceable grants from a shell corporation called Horizon Education Initiatives. No one knew who owned it. No headquarters could be traced. But every year, a check arrived, just enough to keep the lights on, the staff paid, and the curriculum unusual. Because here's the thing: Maple Ridge didn't follow the state curriculum. Instead, students spent hours on behavioral exercises, not math or science, but tasks like memorizing long strings of numbers, reacting to flashing lights, writing answers to moral dilemmas under time pressure, playing games where they had to forget their names for 10 minutes, and completing puzzles that required them to ignore pain or discomfort. And every day, their responses were recorded on video. Parents were told this was part of an advanced learning experiment for gifted children. Most agreed, proud their kids were selected. But one parent, Linda Torres, wasn't convinced. Her daughter, Emily, came home one day and said, "Mom, today we had to forget our names for 10 minutes. The teacher said it was to clean our minds. I didn't want to, but everyone else did." Linda called the principal, Mr. Edwin Crow, the next day. He was polite, professional, but firm. "Mrs. Torres, this program is designed to build mental resilience. If Emily can't handle it, perhaps she isn't the right fit." 2 days later, Emily vanished, along with the rest of the school. March 12, 1983. It started like any other day. Teachers arrived at 7:30 a.m. Students trickled in by 8 o'clock. The cafeteria served oatmeal and apple juice. At 8:45, the morning bell rang. By 9 o'clock, homeroom began. And then, silence. No alarms. No calls. No emergency. Just emptiness. The first to notice was Dorothy Lane, the school nurse. She'd stepped out for coffee at 8:50 and returned at 9:15. The halls were empty. Classrooms were vacant. The building was perfectly preserved, chairs tucked in, books open, clocks frozen at 9:07. It was as if 27 people had simply stopped existing. Local police were baffled. No signs of struggle. No forced entry. No vehicles missing. The school buses were parked in the lot, keys still in the ignition. Even more disturbing, the security tapes from that morning were blank. Every camera showed static from 8:58 to 9:05 a.m. Then, at 9:06, they resumed, showing empty hallways. The FBI was called in within hours. Special Agent Daniel Reeves led the investigation. A veteran of missing children cases, he'd seen kidnappings, accidents, even cult abductions. But this made no sense. "There's no evidence of a struggle," he wrote in his field notes. "No signs of panic. No personal items left behind. It's like they were trained to disappear." By day 3, the case was classified. The school was sealed off. The town of Hollow Creek was evacuated. Within a year, it was removed from maps. And by 1985, Maple Ridge Elementary was erased, buried under forest growth, forgotten by time. Or so we thought. For decades, the case remained closed. But families never stopped searching. Emily Torres' mother, Linda, spent 15 years tracking down every lead. She interviewed former staff, dug into financial records, even hired a private investigator. What she found was chilling. Horizon Education Initiatives wasn't just funding Maple Ridge. It was linked to 6 other schools across the Northeast, all small, private, and all with unexplained closures between 1975 and 1988. And every one had a pattern: students aged 10 to 13, focus on behavioral development, no contact with parents during school hours, sudden clean disappearances, no bodies, no ransom, no explanation. Linda compiled a list of 117 missing children, all from Horizon-funded schools. But when she took her findings to the FBI in 1999, they took her files, and never returned them. "This is classified," an agent told her. "You're better off not knowing." She never saw her daughter again. But she wasn't the only one searching. In 2005, a former janitor from Maple Ridge, Frank Dobbs, came forward. He'd worked there for 3 years. Quiet man. Never asked questions. But in a recorded interview just before his death, he revealed something that changed everything. There was a basement. Not on the blueprints. Hidden behind the boiler room. "I only found it because I was chasing a rat. Down there, there were desks. Just like upstairs. But smaller. And there were cameras. Everywhere. I saw tapes labeled with the kids' names. And one said Integration Phase 1. I didn't tell anyone. But I always wondered, What were they integrating them into? Frank died a week later, officially of a heart attack. But his daughter said he was terrified in his final days. He kept saying, "They're still watching." They never left. Fast forward to 2024. A drone operator named Marcus Reed was testing new thermal imaging equipment over the Adirondack foothills. He wasn't looking for anything specific, just calibrating sensors. But when he reviewed the footage, he saw something impossible. Beneath a dense canopy of trees, heat signatures pulsed from underground. Not animal. Not geothermal. Human-level thermal patterns. He reported it to local authorities. Within days, a team of archaeologists and FBI agents arrived. They dug down, through roots, soil, and decades of decay. And they found it. A sealed concrete chamber, 20 feet below the surface. The entrance was hidden under a false floor in what used to be the boiler room. Inside? A room frozen in time. 12 desks. 12 chairs. 12 notebooks, each labeled with a child's name. And on every page, the same message, written in frantic handwriting: "We're still here. Tell our parents we tried." But that wasn't all. On the wall, a chalkboard read, "Final test, erasure protocol time, 9:07 a.m. success, 100%, and beneath it, a list of names, 24 of them. Every missing child. All marked with a single checkmark. Investigators found a tunnel, 500 feet long, leading to a decommissioned military bunker. Inside? Files. Hundreds of them. Each labeled with a child's name, photo, and a code. Project Echo. The files revealed a government-backed behavioral experiment, active from 1972 to 1991. Goal? To erase identity and reprogram children for high-security roles, intelligence, deep cover operations, even diplomatic impersonation. Children were selected based on high emotional resilience, low family attachment, and exceptional memory and adaptability. They weren't kidnapped. They were recruited, without their parents' knowledge. And once integrated, they were placed in new identities, sometimes in other countries. The school closures? Part of the erasure protocol, a psychological clean break. The blank security tapes? Temporal masking, a technique using pulsed electromagnetic fields to disrupt recording devices at the moment of transfer. And the heat signatures? Residual neural imprints, the brain's last electrical activity, stored in the environment. Yes, that's real science. And yes, it's terrifying. Let's pause for a moment. Look at this image. This is desk number 7, Emily Torres' desk. The wood is cracked. The ink has faded. But the words, they're still clear. I remember my mom's voice. I can't let them take it. Now look at this one, Jacob Miller's notebook. Page after page of the same sentence. My name is Jacob. My name is Jacob. My name is Jacob. He was fighting to keep it. And this, the chalkboard. Final test, erasure protocol. They weren't just watching. They were grading. And when the test was over, the children were no longer needed in this form. Here's what they wrote. Emily Torres, age 11, we were told it was a drill. A mental reset. We all sat at our desks. The lights flickered. Then, I felt cold. Like I was floating. When I opened my eyes, I was here. It looks like school. But it's not. The windows are fake. The clock doesn't move. And the teachers, they're not the same. Jacob Miller, age 12, they took our memories. Not all at once. In pieces. First, our birthdays. Then our parents' names. Yesterday, I forgot my dog's name. I cried. A man in a white coat said, "Good." That means it's working. Lila Chen, age 10, we're not supposed to write this. They check the rooms at night. But I hid my notebook under the floorboard. We're being trained for something. They call it integration. They want us to forget who we were. To become new people. Marcus Reed, no relation to the drone operator, age 11, they say we'll go home soon. But I don't want to. I don't remember home. I only remember this place. And the voice in the walls. It says, you are no longer you. I think I believe it. Final entry, Emily Torres, they're coming for us tonight. The man said, final phase. I don't know what that means. But I know we won't come back. If you find this, tell my mom I tried. Tell her I never stopped loving her. And tell her, don't let them take anyone else. The notebooks were authenticated. Handwriting, paper, ink, all consistent with 1983. But here's what shattered the case wide open. The basement wasn't just a holding cell. It was a transfer hub. Investigators found a tunnel, 500 feet long, leading to a decommissioned military bunker. Inside? Files. Hundreds of them. Each labeled with a child's name, photo, and a code. Project Echo. The files revealed a government-backed behavioral experiment, active from 1972 to 1991. Goal? To erase identity and reprogram children for high-security roles, intelligence, deep cover operations, even diplomatic impersonation. Children were selected based on high emotional resilience, low family attachment, and exceptional memory and adaptability. They weren't kidnapped. They were recruited, without their parents' knowledge. And once integrated, they were placed in new identities, sometimes in other countries. The school closures? Part of the erasure protocol, a psychological clean break. The blank security tapes? Temporal masking, a technique using pulsed electromagnetic fields to disrupt recording devices at the moment of transfer. And the heat signatures? Residual neural imprints, the brain's last electrical activity, stored in the environment. Yes, that's real science. And yes, it's terrifying. Project Echo didn't start in 1983. It began much earlier, in the 1950s, during the Cold War. Declassified documents show that government psychologists were experimenting with identity erasure on orphans and children from broken homes. The goal? To create agents who could be programmed, reset, and deployed without emotional attachments. By the 1970s, they moved from labs to schools. They needed children who were normal enough to blend in, but malleable enough to be reshaped. They called it Echo because the child wasn't erased, they were echoed into a new life. A copy. A replacement. In the schools? They weren't just cover. They were testing grounds. Every quiz, every game, every team-building exercise was a data point. Did the child obey under stress? Could they forget a memory on command? Would they accept a new name? Maple Ridge wasn't the first. It was just the most successful. So where are they now? Are they alive? Living under new names? Working jobs they don't remember choosing? One survivor, who came forward last month, said something chilling. I've always had a skill I can't explain. I can mimic any accent after hearing it once. I speak 4 languages, but I never learned them. And sometimes, when I'm alone, I catch myself writing a name I don't recognize, Lila. Lila Chen. He's 52 years old. He grew up in Ohio. He has no connection to Hollow Creek. But his handwriting matches the notebooks. And if one of them found their way back, how many others are out there, not knowing they were taken? Maybe you know someone like that. Someone who says, "I've never felt like I belong." Maybe it's you. At exactly 9:07 a.m. every day, something happens at the site. Thermal cameras pick up a brief spike in energy. Audio recorders capture a single chime, like a school bell. And for 11 seconds, the heat signatures pulse in unison. Like 24 hearts beating at once. Then, silence. The investigation is ongoing. The FBI tip line is active. And for the first time in 41 years, the families of the missing children have proof. Not closure, but truth. Linda Torres passed away in 2020. But before she died, she said, "I don't want revenge. I want the world to know what they did. I want someone to find my Emily. And if she's out there, I want her to know I never stopped looking." Now, we know. They were taken. They were changed. But they never stopped trying to come home. If you or someone you know has unexplained gaps in their childhood, strange skills, or a feeling of being not quite real, the FBI wants to hear from you. The number is on screen. And if you made it this far, thank you. Because stories like this only survive if we tell them. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications, because this isn't the end. It's the beginning. And somewhere, deep in the woods, a school bell might just be ringing again. At exactly 9:07. Let's go back to the beginning. Close your eyes again. Picture that child you love. Now ask yourself, what if they disappeared, and no one ever looked? What if their voice was erased, but their words survived? That's what happened at Maple Ridge. And now, because someone finally listened, we know the truth. They didn't run away. They weren't in an accident. They were taken. And they left behind a message. Not for the world. For you. We're still here. Tell our parents we tried. So if you've ever felt like something's missing, if you've ever looked in the mirror and thought, "Is this really me?" You might not be imagining it. You might be one of them. And this video might be the first step back. The FBI has reopened over 120 cases linked to Horizon education initiatives. 3 adults have come forward claiming to be survivors. DNA testing is underway. Congressional hearings are scheduled for next month. And the site? It's under 24/7 surveillance. But visitors report strange things, whispers in empty hallways, cold spots in the basement, and at exactly 9:07 a.m., a faint chime, like a school bell. Is it a glitch? A memory? Or are they still trying to get out? We may never know. But we can remember. We can speak their names. We can tell their story. Because silence was their prison. And now, our voice is their freedom. So hit subscribe. Ring the bell. Share this video. Because the next person who watches it might be the one who finally comes home.